Welcome to this newest installment of We Have Interviews. I'm Anthony.
I'm Stevie Wildcard.
I'm Jamie.
And every week we try to get together with a new creator and we ask various questions to get to know them a little bit and also just talk about ridiculous things with other people so we feel better about our insecurities. Steven and I have a lot of weird thoughts. They're just intrusive. They're there. They live with us. It's just who we are as people and weirdos. And we want to prove that other people are as weird as us. So we're trying to get you to join our cult. I mean, just answer questions. So
the Kool-Aid doesn't taste like dirt.
Cult.
Yeah, I mean, you're part of our cult now. It's just how it works. It's you, like it was in the fine print. It's your fault for not reading it.
The robe is in the mail already. There's a packet of Kool-Aid. It's dirt flavored. It's got a picture of an ostrich on it. You just got to mix it with a little sugar and you're good to go.
I'd say a lot of sugar, but that's
I
Steve's
lied.
preference. You know what? Like that's perfectly fine. So, okay, so we're gonna ask Jamie a few questions. Jamie, you are a prolific writer, someone who's written a lot more than I have as far as these things are concerned. You've published. You're impressive. I actually started reading your book today. We get to talk about that a little bit, which I'm super excited about. So we're gonna ask you a bunch of questions about your life and the universe and everything. And Steven's gonna ask the first one because he's a hard hitting question guy.
Okay.
I always get the basic first question. Anthony just throws this at me to make me seem interesting. But who are you and what are you working on at the moment?
Okay. Well, I'm Jamie at Villain Leaning on pretty much all my social media except for Facebook because they shut down my author page. Yeah.
What, like for a reason? Or is it because you're a villain? Or are they just like, we're the only villains in town around here?
This is the metaverse, okay?
They said I was impersonating a person or business, and it's currently in review, but apparently they have a problem with my cookie photo.
What?
Jeez.
Yeah.
Your cookie photo? You can't have cookies?
I don't register as a person because I have a cookie in my photo or something.
We are all about the bots here, Jamie. So,
Cookie Monster's like, I see myself in this image and I do not like it. Please remove
all right. So, Jamie, who are you?
I'm an author and a mother, and I've been married to my husband for 12 years now. So
You and Steven, just go ahead, just brag it up. Just like, are like balloons gonna fall? You two want to keep like patting each other's backs while I sit here? I'm happy too, guys. Look at me go. I'm doing great, everyone. So aside from being an accomplished, like married human person, and mother and writer, what sort of stuff are you working on right now? Are you writing?
Yeah, so I'm continuing to work on the Meg series because I've got the full 12-book series written, so it's in various final draft and like first draft status between all of them, and then I am working on what was supposed to be a fantasy horror novel and ended up being fantasy romance.
Is there a difference from the perspective of someone who has not been married for 12 years?
There was supposed to be a lot more dead people.
Once again, romance, horror, same, like opposite sides of the same coin. Not sure I'm seeing the difference here. But so, okay. We didn't write this down because I fail as a human person, but can you just give us like not an elevator pitch, but like however you feel comfortable. Like, can you tell us a little bit about your series that you've been working on for all this time?
Okay, so the Meg series is about this woman whose power is fear and what happens when she's dealing with heroes and villains who keep trying to recruit her into joining their various missions and ideas for the first book. And then it does bring Greek mythology retelling into it the further in you get, and really hits the ground running in book 3.
That's incredible. So I just started the first book. I've read the first chapter, and I just got to see Meg's power a little so far, and it was thankfully, as much as so I interact with you on Twitter. It's always like pleasant, and you're always so much fun. But I didn't know what the book was about. I knew there was something to do with superheroes, and she's kind of not a hero, but is So I was like, I had no idea what the power was, and I was kind of expecting like like a generic, like, oh, she's someone who has a power and she struggles and it's like, generic powers. Not the case. She's super cool. Like she has, like, her power is badass. She, and the very first time you introduce it in the book, her retail store she's being robbed at, that she happens to work at just because she doesn't want to deal with the nonsense from the heroes and villains. It's being basically not necessarily robbed, but like, there's like a domestic dispute happening. And she steps in and suddenly she explains that there are these whispers and these shadowy figures are crawling out and only the people she wants to affect are seeing them. And it's, and it was super cool. Like it kind of like evoked, for me, it made me think of like those creatures. I don't know if you ever seen the movie Ghost, but like that's like the demons from the movie Ghost, like that, like shadowy, like because that's what I imagined. Because like when I was a kid, that was like the scary, weird.
Dude, yeah, when Homeboy fell on the mirror and the glass killed him, and then the shadow demons came and took his soul to hell, I guess, wherever they take people in that movie. But yeah, that's nightmare fuel.
So Meg from this book, I mean, I'm sure you expound on that, like expand on it and such in the books, but that was my first idea of it, was kind of like that was the image that you kind of, or at least that's what was created in my mind.
That's basically what I was going for, is creepy, swirly demon creatures that just basically grab onto.
Oh, it's so cool. So I love the idea. So like it starts off and it's a lot of fun because Meg's constantly like breaking the fourth wall and she's talking to people and she's like, I love that you're so good at being like slightly ahead of the reader, where it's just like, we're like, okay, that's a dumb name. And you're like, haha, it's a dumb name. I know it, like, so it's good. It's like, it's fun and like quippy, but obviously it's a work that you've been progressing over time. And now, how many books have you written so far with this series?
12, and that's the plan, is to end it with the 12th one. I think it's got a good kind of bittersweet ending to it.
Spoiler alert, bittersweet ending. You heard it here first. Hard-hitting news. So but it's obviously it's grown over time. But what was your first attempt at writing? Do you remember like the first story or type of thing that you got into that made you want to write?
Wow, like it was in elementary school, and it was like one of those assignments. They're like, you need to write a story, and so I went fantasy prince rescuing the princess kind of thing. The only thing I really remember about it is there was like a one of those rope bridges that they had to get across that was breaking.
Mm-hmm.
That's about it. I think that one ended up in the trash somewhere because my mom was not like sentimental.
Yeah, no, my parents either. Nope.
Well, I mean, that's me too. If I'm completely honest, I'd be like, I keep the good ones, but
it's doomed. It's No,
I mean, my parents would be like, what is that? A thing you drew? This is trash now. Just like, let me take this.
I was like,
this means nothing.
This means absolutely nothing. I was like 12 years old, and my mom was like, came to me in my room, and she's like, "What's the matter?" I'm like, "Man, Stephen Jennings' parents hang his drawings on the fridge." And she goes, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry." I'm like, "Yeah, man. Like, what the fuck, Mom?
What are you doing? Who's that person on the fridge? That's our realtor. We need that magnet.
We need that person."
But that's interesting. Like we've heard like elementary school and especially like school projects a few times now. Like people, it's funny how that works. How it's like some people are inspired by those things and some people are like, I'm never gonna read again. Like
some people are destined to become rap artists, and some just want to go do the 9-to-5 thing. It's just what happens. So obviously your mom wasn't the biggest source of inspiration for you but who was your like biggest like source of like inspiration? Like who like inspired you to become a writer, basically?
Honestly,
you're not gonna believe this. My mom. No, I was kidding.
Honestly, Steven did. I had a time machine. I met you.
I'm entirely honest. Star Wars.
Wow.
Yeah. Just
seeing
the hero story unfold and Darth Vader, it was epic. And I love
world building too. I mean, like there's just so much going on in Star Wars, right? Like
Yeah, I mean, it's such a beautiful, like, archetypical hero's journey, throughout the films, and it gave us some of the most iconic characters of all time. As independent. Do you remember like around how old you were the first time you got into Star Wars or were introduced to it?
It was pretty like I had to have been like 7 or 8 because my parents loved the movies. So
you're so lucky.
They had the VHS tapes, and Han shot first. Guy on that hill, he shot first, and he should have shot first because
he's Han Solo.
Yeah, you and Greedo will both die on that hill. So.
Therefore, why wouldn't he just be proactive and shoot him?
Yeah. Here's the crazy part to me is the fact that Greedo has fly-like eyes, right? Flies are supposed to have really quick reaction time. How the hell does he get shot first, though? How the hell does he take the laser bolt?
Steven, I'm just saying like Han Solo is like, he'd be like awesome with a fly swatter, right? Like that's all. Like he's not a stormtrooper. He doesn't miss 99% of the shots he takes. He's Han Solo. Oh man, yeah, Star Wars is a good answer. That makes sense. So well, that kind of makes me wonder, like, did you ever try to write other medium, or like ever consider writing like movies or anything like that? Or did you go straight to narrative?
I watched like all the behind the scenes stuff and things like that. And I didn't consider writing screenplays. I only ever considered writing novels, but what I wanted to do was work in theater and on movies and that kind of stuff. And we'll see where that went, but
oh, same. Steven was the only one who ever believed in me. I swear to God.
I've been his biggest fan since day one.
I swear it's been so, like, I went through the journey. Like, I know a lot of people have similar ideas. Like no one who makes comics or novels wants to hear like, that you want your stuff to become movies. Like everyone wants to believe like, no, you get into comics because you want to make comics. And it's true. Like I love comics. I love novels. However, the reason I got into comics and writing novels is because making movies is hard and expensive. And you need a lot of people. So like Steve and I started out, and I got into wanting to make movies and wanting to write movies, but you need a whole team. You need actors. You need people there to help you with the lighting, and you need people there to hold the.
One of those tech people working with the costumes or the props or the lighting or something like that, and it just didn't happen. Which I think I don't know that my parents really understood.
Yeah.
What I was looking to do. So I didn't really have a whole lot of guidance in that direction.
Makes sense. I mean, I think we all kind of, I think a lot of us creatives probably have that kind of going on, right? Like I know Anthony's parents aren't the most creative people. They're great people, but they're not the most creative people. And the same with, I mean, my dad, my mom, they're not, they're just run of the mill, people. Like they were always so impressed with like my artwork early on, not impressed enough to hang it on the fridge, obviously, but impressed nonetheless. But like, yeah. So like, and it's funny because they spawned a bunch of creatives. Like my brother is just as creative as I am. So it's interesting.
So many of us go through those various things. Like I had the same issue with the school. I wanted to go to film school in Florida, and my parents just didn't see it as a possibility. It was one of those things where they're like, oh, people don't do that. That's not a thing. Whereas for me, I was like, it's very much a thing. There is a literal school where you go to learn this stuff where we live. I'd like to do that. And they're like, no, how about you do a community college and just become a teacher or something? I was like, I would rather not do that. I want to be this thing, So, and so you'd think it would be like, it's like someone who's like, it's like looking in your oven and like, you just like the cookie's like, I'm a cookie. And you're like, you're a freaking cake. It's like, I'm doing my best I can't be a cake. I'm a cookie. I'm cookie shaped, I'm
going to be the worst cake ever.
I'm going to be the worst cake ever, guys. Like, and that's how
you sell me as a cake. I tell you what, they're going to be pissed.
They're going to
be happy.
I don't think they knew what to do with me because it wasn't their thing. They liked going to theater. They liked watching the shows, but it apparently like skipped a generation because my dad's mom was a showgirl in Vegas. Like she knew Frank Sinatra.
That's so cool.
Right. Like what? And they didn't have any interest in that direction.
They wouldn't let you have it your way.
Yeah. They were expecting me to be more academic, like they were. So, to focus on things like math and science and to go into, a kind of career that way. So I think they were just a little confused and not quite sure what to do with me.
So then you decided to just create this monstrosity of a character who can create people's nightmare, like living nightmares, and so super villain in training, essentially. So okay, so what aside from the just stark, like just the terrible lack of support from everyone in your family, Jamie, just like just a startling display of depression that they threw you into, just like you're stuck in this pit of despair. No, but like, what are your biggest issues right now as a creator? Like right now, like trying to write book 12 or whatever, you know, like where you're like, what are you struggling with right now?
Time. There's always things that have to be getting done. There's always things that have to take priority. And what I want to be doing is sitting down and spending 8 hours a day on editing and revisions and writing things. And, you know, the other issue is getting the editor scheduled and stuff like that, because she has all this other stuff she's got to do too. She has her own full-time job. She has her own kids. So, you know.
Yeah.
We know, yeah, that's our weekly struggle. That's why we have issues, you know.
Of course. I mean, that's why I literally write at the end of this question, it's how do you make the time? How do you make her find the time? Because it's like everyone, we all struggle with this, and like we're finding little bits of time here to do this. But you're also a parent, so I wonder about that too. Did that help? Like, did that help to promote the superpower of like focusing when you needed to, or is it harder? Like, how does that work for you?
That's my ADHD. Because I should have been diagnosed as a kid. Oh well, you know, it is what it is. You just deal with it now. So I hyper focus on writing. Is great when I have the time to be focused on writing. It helps me do things quickly, and then I'll trick my brain into doing things that need priority by rewarding it with like writing sprints.
Yeah.
Way it's looking ahead to what it'll get to do, because otherwise the house would be a complete and total disaster, because I would take care of dishes. Oh look, nobody has any clean clothes.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
it's constant juggle, right?
Like, remember, I'm supposed to pick up the kids.
Looks like they're walking.
Like I remember like when I was younger, I swear, like because I look at the clock now, I'm like, oh, I got like 4 hours. 4 hours is not 4 hours like it used to be 4 hours. You know what I'm saying? Like when you have 4 hours, it's gone like instantly. Like I don't know what happened to 4 hours, but it got like reduced to 2 hours somehow.
4 hours seemed like forever. You had all this time to get stuff done in, and now 4 hours, it's like you have dishes, you've got to vacuum, you've got to countertops, you have work to do. Like, no.
Yeah, we're all spiraling in this weird existential dread black hole. I get it. Like we're all stuck in the same sand pit. Like I think that's what, like we all watched Neverending Story as kids, and we're like, oh no, that poor horse. We are the horse. Like, you know, we thought we were Bastion on the top, you know, like on the back of Falcor, like raising our fists. We're like, no, we are in the pit of despair.
Sorry, Anthony, you're a horse now.
So.
And I completely blocked out that part with the horse. Completely blocked it out because I was like, no, that's the horse.
You see, I would have probably known to forget that forever, but then we like this post-hardcore band called Atreyu when we were like, you know, young emo kids. So that basically was just forever solidified in my brain that, you know, the horse and the Atreyu wasn't the horse, he was the boy though, right?
The boy. Yeah.
Artax was the horse. Artax was the horse, yes.
So, oh man. Okay, so we're gonna play a little game.
How about we play?
Steven, your audio just cut out? What did you do?
I wish that. Sorry,
you were doing a bit, and then your audio cut out.
The irony is, I said I wish I had the producer Sean stuff, and then I mute myself, which like is just the opposite of what producer Sean can do. So
we do a thing called the monster test, where we talk about a particular monster and we just kind of ask random questions about it and kind of pick your brain to see not only how much you know, but how you can define a monster for us. And this one is a special edition because you've written these incredible books with these incredible characters. And I'd like to do something different where we talk about supervillains as a monster. Because supervillains is a type of monster as much as Dracula is. As much as any other monster
It's
would
the
be.
monster of the story, right? Like in any
Yeah.
sort of arc or
I mean, like what? Like, are you saying that a werewolf isn't just a superhero, like a supervillain who has the ability to turn into a beast? You know what I mean? Like, what is the difference? You know. So anyway, so I would like to do that with you if you're willing. So Steven, will you hit us with the sweet, sweet monster
Ooh.
test theme? It's you know what it sounds like every week, Steve. Like every time we got this.
get your shoes shined up and it's time for monster test. Cause we gotta test your knowledge. Monster test. I literally change it every time, JB. Monster test.
Don't listen to him. It's literally it's the same verbatim each time. Shoe shines and all. We always. I was like, he was gonna take that part out. I was like, no. You keep in that shoe shine part. It is gold. What was that?
It was part of a Juicy Fruit commercial ad, if I'm honest.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm not crying. You're crying. Okay. So, Jamie, I don't look like I'm crying right now. Everyone else does. It's a light. It's a light is in my eye. It's allergy season here. It is too.
It's allergy season every day in Florida.
Oh.
Florida, isn't it? Like
Yeah, it's all the time. And winter's even worse because something blows in from the north and it like dries. Like I think what it is we lose our humidity and we're so used to that moisture that like, we feel dry and we're just like we're dying. It's too dry, But because we're fish people down here. But anyway,
A little bit. So okay, Jamie, we have to ask you,
Okay.
what is a supervillain?
Oh, what is a supervillain? Okay, well, obviously it's somebody who uses their powers for not always evil per se, but certainly selfish purposes. And they have to have a lair. That's like villain 101.
Yes, the lair for sure.
So Steven, just gonna say you have the layer. I know for a fact you've used your powers for purposes. I'm just saying, like she's making a good case for you to be a supervillain, Jamie. So I've got you. So you posed a question though. So do supervillains have to have superpowers to be labeled a supervillain?
I don't think they do. Because Lex Luthor doesn't have any superpowers. He uses his money. He uses technology. I mean, Tony Stark himself could end up being a supervillain because he has the technology. He has the ability to create things that he could take over the world with. So
yeah, no,
I think that's a good case because if any of the heroes that we know, even because typically supervillains do have some sort of crutch, but like if any of the heroes we know, like if Batman was a bad guy, like that dude kicks ass every day. Like if someone was a Batman, he went around. I mean, Batman kind of is a villain, but like if someone was like Batman and just like went around and kicked, like that's a supervillain, right? I mean, like he's causing chaos.
So okay, so that was a question. That was a question I want to ask. I want like, so Jamie, what's the difference between simply an antagonist, and a villain character? Is there like, because I feel like there's a difference there.
Yeah, I think like an antagonistic character generally is only after the hero themselves. They're not looking to create mass chaos. They're not looking to take over the world. They just have this one vendetta, this one person that they want to take out for whatever reason. Whereas a villain has much bigger plans than that.
So do you think, okay, so how do you feel about redeemable villains versus like archetypically evil villains? Like villains where it's like, these are redeemable people, you relate to them, and these are just like repulsive people who are like monsters.
I think honestly you need both of them.
Mm-hmm.
And I have villains that I would say are somewhat redeemable because they're not a total lost cause, and they could end up joining the team later on, but I think you still need those absolute.
You need the Jokers of the world, basically the pure representative, representation of chaos and
the ones who just you can't save them. They don't want to be saved. Mm-hmm. They enjoy being bad people.
Okay, so
I actually commented this on your Twitter thread, Anthony, and like everyone always goes to Joker as like the most irredeemable villain, but I really do think it's Red Skull. Like when it comes to like villains that are just there's like not a single shred of them that's worth like salvaging. Like I think Red Skull has consistently proven that he's just an absolute horrible person. Like he's just a monster.
I mean, I will say regardless, Steven, no one's gonna argue against you because he's a Nazi. So like
it was a very clever ploy of mine.
It's a very clever ploy on your part.
Honestly,
like there's like I'm a contrarian at like in my core. In my core, I'm like, actually, Steven, actually, he is a victim of society because but then I'm like, no, Nazi.
Like, dude, the thing that like messed me up the most about him was like in the Ultimates universe, like you like get introduced to him and he like makes this woman kill her husband and then or he's gonna kill her baby, and then as soon as she kills her husband with a knife, he throws the baby out the window. So I mean, like in the first like 3 pages of that comic, it's like, wow.
Yeah, that's. I mean, anytime. And
I can't believe they wrote that. You know,
isn't it crazy? I know. Well, isn't it crazy? Did you guys all have that? Because, and I know people don't like to talk about this. We're all supposed to be like these like openly 100% empathetic souls from birth to death. But in reality, for me, I'll tell you that like as a younger guy, like before having kids and being around kids more, I could find humor in like weird things in horror movies and stuff where it's like, oh, where it's like it's a little like, oh, that's edgy and weird and it's kind of funny. As soon as I like was around kids more and had my own son, I was just like, everything makes me sad, you know. Just, like,
this is gonna break my soul.
This is gonna, yeah. I was like I identify so strongly with that now. Where I'm just like, oh, he's someone's baby. He is their best little boy, you know. And then like, so like I remember I read a Daredevil book, and Bullseye did that where he took like a tooth. It was like a glass. I'm trying to think of what it was. It might have been a toothpick. It was, but he threw a glass across like this alleyway through a window and like killed someone, like someone's parent, like killed like the, you know, like, yeah, killed like a dad. And I was just like, this is the worst thing I've ever read. I was like, this is like, I was just like, oh, why? But and like, of course they're trying to be like, hey, this guy's irredeemable and we're gonna make you hate him right off the bat. It's like, yeah, like Jamie, are you familiar with like the Save the Cat book or like Save the Cat like series of thinking with like narratives? Yeah, because like,
no, so.
Oh, you haven't read it? Okay.
Exist.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, there's like, I mean, there are so many weird formulas and like different things like that writers have access to if we want to, you know. It's just like, hey, if you're having trouble with the story, here's Joseph Campbell, or here's like this other book, you know, like on writing, and here's this. But the Save the Cat thing, like one of the things they suggest is like, if you want to give if you want to make readers relate to a character and want them to win, what you do is you create a situation where they have to save something that you're familiar with. So like if you watch the Sonic the Hedgehog movie, for instance, like one of the first scenes when they show him, he saves a turtle right away. He saves a turtle. So like, right, and like, not that he needed that, but it puts him in the level of likable immediately. You immediately relate to him. You're like, oh, I like this guy. He is a hero. I like him. I think they do the opposite thing with villains to try to make them feel irredeemable. You know,
they show the same sequence of events, but he kills the turtle instead.
Yes.
Basically.
Yeah, pretty much. Like he puts the turtle at risk, like, or does something deliberately to hurt the turtle. You're like, oh, what kind of monster does that? And then you learn what kind of monster does that, and then you know, so then you want to watch his comeuppance. But anyway, so Jamie, what is your favorite villain in fiction that you've seen? Like something that inspired your villains that you're like, man, I just want, like, that's like top tier one of my villains that I need to create something like this.
Probably, I think I've got like 2. So Heath Ledger's Joker performance.
Oh yeah.
Is just, you know, chaotic. He's psychotic. You know that he's doing it just to be evil, to force other people into positions where they would have to choose to be just as evil as he is.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't really have any sympathy for him.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and he did a phenomenal performance.
Oh, I love that performance so much. I think it's one of those things that's like I think it's going to continue to make weird circles with being like appreciated and then kind of take it for granted, you know, because I think like we all went through the same thing where we saw it. We're like, I've never seen anything like this. but then he does this thing that like only the most iconic people like Michael Jackson, Elvis, like when you create a character that's so iconic that you can replicate it, but you couldn't have invented it. You know, like it's like this magic that exists where it's like, oh, anyone can do that. It's like, yes, any of us can do that voice a little, but he invented this whole character, and that's amazing. You know, like
It's like the whole thing about how like, oh, Jimi Hendrix isn't that good, but it's like he wrote those guitar parts. So like he created those sounds. Like people didn't do that really. You know what I'm saying? You do it now and you shred much better than Jimmy does, but no one was doing that. You know what I'm saying?
You were literally, you can only exist because your chicken exists because of his egg. Like recognize that a little bit, you know? So yeah, I'm totally with you. Like Heath Ledger's performance is still one of my favorite, you know, at all, of all time. Although I will say, I had this weird realization, and it just like, it was one of those things where you stumble upon things in the internet, and then like pieces start coming together. So I got into I was just listening to like random music and looking for songs to cover, and I started listening to Tom Waits, and I kind of got into Tom Waits for a little while, and then I was like watching interviews with him, and there's an interview with Tom Waits where he's like on David Letterman or something, and it's from like 1980 or something, you know, but he sounds exactly like Heath Ledger's Joker in that interview.
You saw that interview basically?
So no. But here's the thing that like pieced it together for me. so there's Tom Waits doing this interview that sounds exactly like the freaking Joker. And then Heath Ledger, one of his last performances before he died, he was filming the Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus with Tom Waits. So like they were filming that right at and that movie was a long-term process. So they filmed like Batman as they were working.
Oh yeah, that makes sense for sure.
Yeah. So I was
like, maybe he just picked up like things from that guy. He's like, yes.
Like I think he was inspired by Tom Waits and kind of like found this character through him. I don't know. I can't prove it. I wish I could be like, hey, Tom Waits, like, did you ever talk to Heath Ledger about being Chaos incarnate? You know, but like I can't because I don't know him yet. So if you know Tom Waits, like, oh, get us together.
I need to talk to Tom.
I gotta talk to Tom.
I need to speak to the commissioner.
Tell him. Wait, Jamie, have you ever seen Blank Man? Have you ever seen the movie Blank Man?
It's a 90s comedy star. Is it Keenan Ivory?
No, it's
it's Damon. It's Damon Wayans.
Yeah. So I have seen it.
Okay. It's one of those movies where. Yeah, it was just one of those things. I haven't watched that movie in years, but the part Steven was just talking about where he comes in and all the police officers are laughing at him. They're like, tell him who you want to talk to. And goes,
like, I want to speak to the commissioner.
It's so good.
It's good. Okay, but so Heath Ledger, and what Heath Ledger as the Joker, and what's the other villain that?
Darth Vader.
I was gonna say, I had a feeling it was gonna be Darth, but it's a good villain to like.
Great villain. Not only because, when you first encounter him, he is fighting. He's also a sympathetic villain. Mm-hmm. By the time you get to the end, this history about him. And when you get further into the story of Star Wars and what happened with his life, how young he was when he was taken from his mother, how he grew up a slave, it's kind of hard not to blame him for going over to the dark side.
For sure. And honestly, though, he really is both, right? Because as Anakin becoming Darth, he murdered children. He murdered children. He murdered women. Vader's been shown in comics and things like that. Just he's like a devastator. He destroys groups of people with no mercy. But then you do see this others. He's almost like both villains in that regard, right? Because he has all these redeemable things at the end. But man, was he brutal? He was.
He was an awful, awful person, and not somebody that you wanted to encounter.
Oh my gosh, it's probably best that he wasn't around to raise the kids. Just put that out.
Does he get the pass because he was basically corrupted by the dark side? Do you think that's why he can kind of exist on both sides of that villain coin? Is that what it is?
I think that's why he gets that sympathetic villain card.
Mm-hmm. That and the fact that it happened a long, long time ago
in a galaxy far, far away. So
because he does get corrupted by the dark side. He has Palpatine whispering in his ear, just insidious things, and those are going to affect a person to that kind of point.
Oh yeah, for sure. So, what is your favorite villain that you've created, or not? It doesn't even have to be your favorite, but like, what's one that you're like, I can't wait for everyone to meet this character.
Okay, so he gets kind of like this very short.
Wait, Jamie, I have an idea. Jamie, can you give us his name, and Steven's gonna guess what he does?
Okay, Flare.
Flare.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have to just immediately assume that Flare is going to have some sort of pyrokinetic powers, right? Like he's got to like shoot like flares of like raw fire energy.
He's not a flare, he just flames a lot. Is that what you're saying?
No, Flare.
Oh, Flare. Okay. So, well, that he sounds dark as hell. Flare. I mean, I think of like, like the, people that flayed people, basically skinned them alive. So like Flare, I'm guessing like some sort of blades in his arms or something like that for him to like just like cut people into pieces and,
Cuts their life into pieces.
No, Stephen, Freyr. Like, like he phrased. I'm just kidding.
Frasier, Stephen. It's Frasier. No. Okay.
No, he's pompous British, and he has his own like radio show.
Yeah. He gets a very short mention at the beginning of the first book.
Okay.
And his power is related to basically peeling people's skin off their bodies. So he doesn't use any weapons other than his own power to do this.
He just skins people like almost like his mind, like basically.
Basically skins people alive.
What if he? I mean, like, because we have so many layers of skin just like loose that can come out. Like, what if like he's
down through the muscle to the bone? Like,
oh, that gets dark. But what if he had to do it one at a time and it took like an hour each? So he's like, I'm gonna get you. You'll see. just like each.
And he's like, oh no, I'm being skinned. You're being skinned alive by the Flare. And it's just like slow.
Bro, it's just
there goes your first level of your dermis.
That might be worse.
That might be worse. Honestly, would be right.
At some point, you'd be like, "This is kind of like getting a tan. This isn't so bad. Like this could be like like he could tattoo people a little.
Remove tattoos. I mean,
he could remove tattoos. So no, but that sounds amazing. Actually,
no, that's a pretty badass power. Like deconstructing the human body basically down to bone.
Dude, I love that. Like
basically what Magneto does to Wolverine. I'm gonna stab Magneto. Wolverine, your skeleton's made of metal. I'm gonna do it every time. Every time this Jagoff. But this guy can do what Magneto does to Wolverine all the time. Like he just doesn't matter who you are. That's pretty.
So in your books, do we get to see Flare like really in action?
Yeah, in book 8. I wish I could have gotten him in sooner than that, but you do actually get to see.
Oh, that's awesome though.
He does seem like someone that has like a pretty strong power. So if you had to introduce him early, he would have to be someone that's like almost untouchable or like just like so far out of reach of any sort of stopping point for him. So I get like why he would appear later.
Yeah.
I think about like a video game, like you're not versing, like Goro in the second round of Mortal Kombat, like.
Just jump kicks. Just jump kicks all day. So, okay. Last question to wrap up our monster test. I just want to just bring monsters into it a little bit. If you had to take one of the basic, like the traditional classic universal monsters and put them as a supervillain in your world, which one do you think you would choose and what would fit best?
Oh, I mean, because I have, like, do you mean other than vampires and werewolves?
No, I mean, like, yeah, like, do you have vampires and werewolves in your book?
I do not. There are no vampires and werewolves.
That's what I figured.
You do get to meet a hero with shifter type abilities, but he does have a single form that he uses.
Okay, so like I'm thinking like Dracula, Frankenstein's monster, Wolfman,
Swamp Thing,
like the
Man
creature
Thing,
Black Lagoon, and and like a mummy. Like of those.
So nothing classical like Medusa.
Oh, well, I know because you have like because you're doing the Greek gods, but what would you let's go Greek god pantheon all the way back. Like what?
Because you already get it's spoiler, but you already get Medusa in one of these books. So
Medusa's an awesome
Megdusa.
Megdusa.
Yeah. But no, that's awesome. I can't wait to get through more of the books. But okay, Steven, do you feel that Jamie knows her stuff when it comes to supervillains? How do you think she did? Like, if you
I feel like I mean, yeah, I feel like she nailed it right on the head, like better than me.
What would you get her? Like, if you had to give her like a grade, Steven, what would you give her?
I would give her an 8 out of 8, though.
Okay, so
that's the scale. That's the
what
scale.
I'm thinking, Steven, is we need to just film like a standard you saying that everyone is the best at everything, and just like I'll just post that same thing at the end, Steven, because everyone's so good according to you. I mean, I agree. I just also want to give you crap for always saying that people are perfect, because it's not. But
I am King Silver Lining. That's like my superpower. I'm just like everyone's the best. Okay, so like, what would your advice be for someone that's never written a book? Like, how can someone like start writing or like get to where you are now? Like, what advice can you offer them?
Read a lot. You want to read different genres, different eras. Like, I'm not big into the classic novels, but honestly, you should have some sort of base in them, just so that way you have an idea of what that time period was like. Like, I mean, just read everything that you can get your hands.
I mean, that's how I start every one of my books, is Call Me Ishmael. I mean, that's just how I start them. So I'm just kidding. But no, I get what you're saying, because it's the same for me with art. Like, I get better at art the more I study other people's arts, and I see the things that work, and then I also see the flaws, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And it definitely it helps you dodge those, you know, currents and those things that, you know, you can get trapped in. So I completely understand that.
That's good. Hold on one second.
We got this. We know this. We know this so well. See, we look so clean.
I will come check on you. Good night.
This happens. So like, especially in the early episodes, if we have issues, like it was like 30 times an episode.
Oh,
like,
it was so bad.
We'd have to edit so much, because my kids, like I have a 7 and a 4-year-old. They were much younger at that time. And
my favorite, there was one time.
It was recent too. It wasn't even that long ago.
It wasn't that long ago. There was one time when the door opened just barely on Steven's side, and I watched it and I was like, I don't know what just happened. I mean, like maybe a dog, so I didn't say anything. And then Steven moved his chair, and there was a child behind him, and it was terrifying.
And I didn't see it. And then Anthony looked so worried. I was like, and so I turned around, and you just hear this ungodly scream come out of me, because I wasn't expecting to see a child there. But Anthony was scared, so I was scared.
Yes. I was like, because I didn't see them come in at all. It was just this weird, like, tiny bit of a door. I was like, oh, the dog, that happens. And then there was just a creepy child in the corner.
She's so quiet. She's a little ninja. Like, it's crazy.
But all right. So Jamie, good.
Sorry. In addition to reading, you can't dismiss other mediums, because film and, you know, the graphic novels and everything, you should look at those.
Podcasts. Tell them to watch podcasts.
Yeah,
podcasts too.
Because they have information. They have a way of showing things that you can learn from. The way they do their storytelling. I would say one of the best compliments I've gotten from any of my beta readers was that my scenes felt cinematic.
Yep.
That's always a plus, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the goal, right? To write as vivid as possible, right? As if someone's describing it as cinematic, it means they're watching it in their head, and that should be your goal as like a writer, right?
Yeah. You want people to be able to see what you're telling them, showing them, which, you know, essentially.
You want to make my job irrelevant, is what you're telling me.
No, I like it. I mean, like, from what I've read of the first book, I definitely see that, because as I'm reading it, I can picture it in my head without like a ridiculous level of description. You know, like you describe things when they're necessary as they come, and it's, you know, it's appropriate, and you paint the scene, but like I feel like it carries us along for the ride instead of getting us lost in like the laundry of describing.
You're not Nathaniel Hawthorne over there. Oh my God, that guy.
Well, you know, no, it's just like you don't spend 15 paragraphs describing what Meg's wearing. You just get into who she is as a human, you know.
The embroidery on her cloak was tightly woven with an old knitting pattern taught by the Poppers. Poppers have nothing to do
Steven,
with
I'm
knitting,
so interested right now. Like, I need 16 chapters of your Nathaniel Hawthorne sweater drama.
16 chapters to describe one sweater.
Just that sweater, that sweet, sweet sweater.
I'm just gonna write 16 chapters describing a sweater. I'm gonna see if I can do it.
Because I think part of it is you need to trust your readers to be able to fill in what you don't mention. Because if you tell them that someone is in the kitchen, you can just give them an idea of what the colors are, what the counter looks like, what the floor is, if the detail is important, because they're going to fill that information in. People know what cabinets look like. You don't have to describe them in detail down to the hardware. They don't care how many screws are in the door. They can
you don't need to, unless that screw is going to come out. Unless it's relevant to the plot,
screw,
right?
yeah. But
you need to trust your readers with a certain amount of ability, essentially, to see what you're trying to show them.
Yeah, for sure. I like that. I like that you kind of make it cooperative, and you do that even more so in that from like you break the fourth wall and you talk to us. So it's like we get the experience that she recognizes that we're readers, or at least witnessing the story in some way. So it's really cool. It's a fun experience. So Jamie, it's been amazing talking to you. It's so much fun. But where can people find you in the world on the social medias?
Okay, so you can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok under @VillainLeaning.
Okay.
Hopefully, eventually, I'll get my Facebook page back, which is Adventures of a Villain-Leaning Humanoid.
He's just eating a cookie. It's the Cookie Monster.
It's freaking Cookie Monster. So your books are available on Amazon. Is there anywhere else that people can find your work or support you in any way? Or
I need to get them put up on Barnes and Noble, because I think I've only got the first book up there, and I need to update it with the corrected formatting anyway. So
very cool. So I mean, I just bought it off. I bought it off of you specifically on Twitter. So I can't, but I did see. I also got the digital copy on Amazon, so I see that those are available and everything. Is there an audiobook for it yet?
No, and I really need to get that put together. My husband was supposed to build me a sound booth so I could record it myself.
Oh, that would be so cool.
Just because, like, the cost of getting a narrator, it's not something I personally can afford.
I know. Like I think about that stuff all the time. Like, obviously, Meg is a female sounding character, and I could not help you with that. So, I get it. My voice isn't necessarily.
I get it a little bit.
Yeah.
Deeper than I was expecting, but
But no, that'll be exciting, when it happens. But I'll make sure I'll post all the links and everything below so people can find the books. I definitely would recommend them, at least the first one. I can't say anything about the second one yet. I'm not gonna. I like hard-hitting honesty here is what we're all about. We're a cult. We're a truthful cult. We believe in a few things, and one of them is selling that book, and not that one yet, Jamie. We'll get there eventually. Speaking of cults, Stephen, will you ask her that last question?
Join our cult.
Join our cult.
Join the ostrich colony.
Join our cult, Jamie. Why haven't you joined our cult yet? I don't know.
We have a song. There was a Christmas song Anthony made.
Like, how am I not a member?
You are.
Are you a?
Yeah.
Okay, so Steven, I asked you to make a list of the members starting with the A and going to the. I've read through the J's and she wasn't on there. What's going on, Steven?
In fact, the list just says you and me. I think
it's 2 people, Steven. It's 2 people right now. I need you to add a third at least. I'm pretty sure Stevie Arena. I think Lee's in there. We have a few other people. Jamie is now part
Jackson's
of the.
Definitely in the cult.
Jamie Jackson is part of the cult now. It's just you have to watch every episode, and if you don't, you have to lie to us. You lie to us forever. You said you can never get out of that part. We tell the truth about your one book, and we lie about everything else, Jamie. So speaking of those lies, it's been wonderful talking to you, Jamie. It's been.
No, he's so horrible. He's the greatest.
She knows I'm joking.
I know she knows. I know. You know. I know. You know.
I know. Like our whole relationship, Steven. But he's right. If I didn't have Steven, everyone would hate me all the time.
So you're not like those 2 old guys in the Muppets that just like rile each other up. I'm like the opposite. Like I dial it back in. Like he's joking.
Oh, it's so good. I need it. I need it. But so Jamie, it's been amazing talking to you. We have to go and record our episode, our whole other thing now. But you're wonderful. Thank you for doing this. Thank you for doing it kind of last minute.
Hi, me.
Yeah, of course. We will definitely talk to you when you get book 2 read by me. Because clearly you're way ahead of us. Like you have nothing more to do. You have been active enough. You've done all the work. It's on us, and we're failing as readers. We should be joining her cult. She has way more books out. I don't know. Okay, that being said, we have 100 and almost 106 episodes of the thing out. I mean, what's this? We probably said enough words to fill 12 books, right, Steven? I mean, we're close.
Yes, I mean, they're not the best written books.
I mean,
they all start with "Call Me Ishmael." But if you went back to every podcast episode, I just edited that in somehow, magically.
Every episode, we're just going to talk about Nathaniel Hawthorne sweaters for 3 hours. That's our podcast from now on, ladies.
Olive green threading.
So, Jamie, is there anything else you would like to say to people who may be listening? Readers, writers, just people in general?
No, I don't think I have any.
Join our cult, Jamie. You failed. It was the one job. You had one job. We talked about this before. You're supposed to. I was gonna say the thing, and you were gonna be like,
Hold on. Join our cult.
Yes.
Can you guys hear me?
Now we can.
And what are you doing?
We're putting this all in, uncut, just unedited.
And we're live, ladies and gentlemen.
She's ready to answer your questions.
One of our rare live episodes where everything is live.
Everything's perfect. Starting out strong. Look at us go.
Dude, your Tumblr made me think of coffee. 7-Eleven, dude, has this new coffee machine where you pick a flavor. For example, I picked up Brazilian, and it grinds the beans and brews it fresh for you. It's so fancy for 7-Eleven, dude. It's
what? That's a 712, Steven.
It's a 712. They upped their game.
Hang on. Jamie, can you hear us?
Where is?
I don't think can you not hear us? Let's do it like this, okay?
Do you know sign? We need Dina.
You're useless.
Yeah.
What is this thing doing?
So can you hear us? No.
Okay, hang on. Is her volume up? Is the question. Do you have speakers hooked up?
That's the thing about audio interface. You never know what's going on that end. Let's think. Zoom would probably have. Does she have maybe AirPods?
Well, at least you can hear me. Okay.
We can hear you.
Speakers. Display audio. That is so weird.
So tell her if she goes to the mic portion, she can click the up arrow on next to the microphone, and then go to select a speaker, and she can do built-in output if she wants to use that. Let me see.
Speakers. Hold on.
You hear me?
Now I can.
Yes.
We did it.
We did it.
So because I have an actual audio interface, and sometimes if Tina, my wife, if she uses my computer audio, but she'll switch my audio. And then there was a whole episode where I recorded and it wasn't even using this mic. It was using my internal iMac microphone, and it was horrible. So yeah, the audio, you can choose the audio stuff.
Bye. The audio, I couldn't hear them. Bye. Hold on. Let me see if it'll.
She had a phone a friend situation going on. Oh.
I just wanted to tell you that I won the $1 million.
I'm just messing with my husband. I'm like, it's fine. It's working now.
Okay. So now it's on your phone. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you. No,
Okay.
so apparently my computer was trying to play the sound through my actual Yeti microphone.
Oh wow. Okay. Weird.
Well, that's not going to work because that doesn't play sound. It just
It takes in sound.
I mean,
sound.
I
I
almost want to try it
receive.
just to watch it figure it out. Just watch your Yeti become self-aware. Like, I can't do it.
It's like Ultron just like shifting over there, like
He's like, what are you doing?
yeah, the computer speakers are like, what are you doing, Yeti?
I mean,
So Zoom's trying to play it through my microphone and not through the actual speakers. So
so weird. Okay, so we're set up now. You ready?
yes.
Okay, we did this. We're doing all right. That was the whole interview. This was our new podcast called Jamie Sets Up a Microphone. Get in Zoom.
And that's how you do it. You don't have Yeti because
Sure.
Yeti wants to play through the microphone.
That's right. Well, I have the blue Yeti. I don't know what Yeti you have. Mine knows its place. Like it's
It's a working class Yeti.
A stand looking one, like you would.
yeah.
So
Yeah. Mine's a blue collar Yeti. It knows it has a jet.
I just have the RE320. I forget what this is.
What was that,
called.
Steven? I'm sorry, you're fading out. you suddenly got kicked off this call.
This is actually a better like instrument recording microphone, but it works as a vocal.
Yeah, I have another mic I'm gonna set up soon, but it was shut up, Steven. You're bragging and I'm feeling insecure.
I actually think the sound, like audio, it might be because I tiled my man cave. I used to have
I
carpet. so
prefer Wild Cave, but
yes, wild cave. I actually have the sign. It doesn't stick in my head. But I used to have carpet, so I think the audio echo might be from the tile now instead. But I think the condenser mic did a better job of audio, like vocal recording. So I need to get another condenser. But anyways,
so we have 8 questions for you. We're gonna do a whole intro thing first. Steven, do you have the questions pulled up?
yes, I do. It's just unlocking. You're locked for some reason.
I'm waiting because like I know he doesn't, but he's going to have them.
Every interview we have done, sir, I have had the questions ready to go. I've been over prepared.
See, I do this thing every time we have an interview now. I'm like, these are human beings. They're all individual people. I'm gonna ask them questions, gonna cut to the core, then we're gonna get them. And then what I do is I open up that document and I just like slightly edit things a little, like Mad Libs, and I'm like, this is now for Jamie. So if I call you Steve Urena, it's not my fault. So okay.
So how long have you been working on Susan B. Anthony? Just kidding. It's a callback to Lee.
Okay. So we're gonna do an intro thing, and then you can say your name just like we, it's like I'll say, go through our names, and then we'll ask questions. Ready?